This is the Sales Babble Podcast, episode 199, How to Find Sales Leads with Twitter, an interview with Madalyn Sklar.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers. Now, today I want to address a question that I'm often asked, and it's all about social selling, using social media to discover new leads. Salespeople are always looking for new leads. We know that LinkedIn can be a lot of help, but hey, what about Twitter? What about Instagram? Maybe Facebook? Is Snapchat worth your time? Today we ask and answer those very questions. My guest is Madalyn Sklar, and Madalyn and I review each of the social media platforms, and Madalyn shares advice on how to find sales leads with Twitter and the other common do's and don'ts for all social selling. So, with no further ado, let's get to it. Welcome, Madalyn. Are you ready to babble?
I am so ready, Pat.
But you're more of a tweeter than a babbler, right, Madalyn?
I love Twitter. So yes, I've been tweeting for, it's going to be 10 years. I've been doing this a long time.
Isn't tweeting just for like celebrities and our president and people like that?
Not really. I mean, we see the celebrities out there. So I can totally see where people would think that. But there are 300,000 people. I mean, not 300 million. Let me add another zero, a couple more zeros to that. 300 million people have a Twitter account. They're using Twitter, and there are like 500 million tweets out there every day. Like try to wrap your head around that. There's so many tweets. It is a great place to go and connect with people. So I love being there. I love building relationships with people, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to do, right? In sales, we want to build relationships. We want people to know, like, and trust us. Social media is great for that, and especially Twitter.
Not everybody's on Twitter, and I know there's a lot of accounts out there, but how many people are really tweeting, you think, in a year or within like 30 days?
Yeah, they've got a lot of active users. I don't have the number right in front of me, but there are millions and millions of people on there actively using it every day. So in the course of a month, there's a lot of people. So there's opportunity to connect with people. But what holds a lot of people back is, number one, is this easy to use? You know, if they don't find it easy, the thing we had with Twitter was 140 characters. That's not easy. Now that Twitter doubled that to 280 characters, I think we're going to see Twitter grow more exponentially, because for people that held back, that thought it wasn't easy enough to use, now it's like, okay, you can get on there and you can tweet something. You're not going to like run out of character spaces. So I think we'll see that.
So before we jump too much into this, why don't we step back a little bit and talk about social media on the whole? There's this whole, what do we call it, social selling conversation going on, that this is a great way for people to generate leads. And as you said earlier, that's what all salespeople want to do. How would you compare all these different venues when it comes to social selling?
Yeah, well, I think these social media platforms are a great way to go to generate sales. I was just watching Lewis Howes, who's a really popular entrepreneur, lifestyle entrepreneur that uses all social media platforms, but he's really gone in on Instagram. And so he was talking about how to use Instagram to generate sales. Now, we don't think of that, right? We think of LinkedIn to generate sales, right? That's where most sales professionals, but you could go to any platform. You could go to Twitter. You could go to Instagram. You can even go to Snapchat, the ones that you would not traditionally think you could sell, and you could go there and sell. But it all starts with having a plan. If you put together a plan and know, number one, who are you selling to? And number two, know the platform you're working in, know how to use it. That's why I teach people how to use Twitter. I find that so many people tell me, I don't understand Twitter. Well, I want to make it super easy for them to use so they could get on there and use it as a platform to sell. And so I think any platform you want to be on, whichever one you like the best, you could get on there and totally sell.
But I kind of like what you said earlier about it's knowing who you're selling to. Isn't it really about going to the one that they like the best?
Sure. When it comes to sales and marketing, we're taught that go to where your customers are. So you got to know who your customer is first. And once you really know who they are, where are they? If they're young, they're probably on Snapchat or on one of these others like Musical.ly I keep hearing about where like the teenagers and the preteens are at. If your demographic is a little bit older, then you're going to find them on Instagram. You're going to find them on Twitter. You're going to find them on Facebook. So you need to go to where they're at. So I would just get out there and spend time on all of them, learn how to use them all, spend time on all of them. And the one where you get the best traction, see, I'm all about experimenting, Pat. I will experiment. I will try things to see what works, what doesn't. And when I get on these social platforms, like I feel like I'm wasting my time on Facebook. I think these days, unless you're spending a lot of money on ads, we don't get much traction on Facebook anymore because of the algorithms. So I just don't like spending time there. I use it, but I've really scaled back. So I focus my attention where my customers are and what platforms will get me the most traction. And so I found for me, it is Twitter, number one, and number two, Instagram, and number three, LinkedIn. So I recommend people go and experiment and find your top three so you know where to best spend your time.
So how do you use Twitter to, let's walk through your top three here, okay? Let's start with Twitter. How do you generate leads on Twitter, Madalyn?
Okay, so with Twitter, what I find that works best, I call this my Twitter secret sauce, and it's just some bullet points I've put together with this, and it's like being consistent. So you need to be on there every day, and you need to do this with every social platform you want to be on and sell on, is you got to be consistent. You got to show up. And number two, with Twitter, tweet every day. Like you've got to tweet every day. So I always say at minimum 5 times a day, the more you tweet, the more people will see you. So the better the chance of making connections and selling. Number three, go check your notifications. These are people that are tweeting to you. And all of these things can apply with your other social platforms. But you go through your notifications. These are people that are communicating with you. On Twitter, these would be the people tweeting at Madalyn Sklar. So they're trying to get my attention. They're saying something to me. I need to show up and pay attention because there could be opportunities for business that's sitting right there. Same thing with your inbox. On Twitter, we call it DM for direct message. A lot of people complain that their DM box is filled with spam. Well, but when you go through that spam, for every 10 to 20 spam messages, there's probably one good opportunity that could lead to a sale. That's what I found in my experience. So I always say, spend time, go through it, wade through it, because there's always gold. You just have to look for it. The other thing I recommend is to create Twitter lists. On Twitter, we have the ability to organize our stream. When we go and first get onto Twitter, you're just seeing what's called the home feed. And so these are all the people you follow. You're just seeing all of their tweets. It becomes this big mishmash of just too much information. But what I can do is I can hone it in. So for sales, maybe I just want to follow a stream of tweets from my customers. Maybe I want to do a list of my competitors. Maybe I want to do a list of people I want to sell to. I can create these lists. I can make them private or public. I recommend private because it should be for your eyes only. And use this to start spending time looking to see what are these people tweeting? How can you jump into the conversation with them? Another thing I like to do on Twitter is participate in Twitter chats. These are basically like little networking sessions. So you know how in sales, we go to networking events in person. We have the ability to do the equivalent, but on Twitter, where we can go to a Twitter chat and connect with like-minded people. So for instance, I host a Twitter chat called Twitter Smarter. And it's a chat where we get together every Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern, and we spend an hour talking about Twitter and how can we use it better? How can we better market? How can we use this for our sales? And I bring on a guest and everybody comes together and it's a mini networking event.
And so you use hashtags for that? Is that how you get people together?
It all revolves around a hashtag. So for that is pound Twitter smarter. That's the hashtag. So if you come onto Twitter between 1 and 2 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, you're going to see a lively conversation revolve around the Twitter Smarter hashtag, and you are free to come in and jump into the conversation and participate. And what I have discovered with Twitter chats, Pat, is that if you are on there regularly and you have that presence, you show up, people are going to start getting to know you. I kind of joke and say you'll be like Norm from Cheers, where everybody knows your name, right? It's so much like that because like we'll spend the first 10 minutes on the Twitter chat just, I remember on the show like Norm, every time somebody walked in, hey, Norm, like you feel like that. Like it becomes like a group of friends that you hang out with, but you do it on a Twitter chat and you can do it in your PJs. I mean, nobody sees you. It's almost like texting, but it's a group format on Twitter. So I have connected with so many people doing this through my chat, through other chats. There are so many out there geared for whatever it is in your business, even hobbies. There's so much out there for that. The other thing that I recommend when it comes to Twitter, and this is for all social media, is you have to engage. You have to get on there and talk to people. Don't just make it a one-way push of information. That's the biggest mistake I see so many people do. They get on social media, they get on Twitter, they get on Instagram, they get on Facebook, they get on Instagram, and they just post. And they just post stuff about them. They post stuff about their business. Buy from me, do this, do that. You can't just do that. Like that doesn't work. You got to get on there and engage with people. You need to listen to the conversation and find opportunity to jump in and engage with people. When you start doing that, when you flip that script and make it from a one-way street to a two-way street, everything will change. And you can start 10xing your business through social media.
Let's move on to Instagram. I really liked your advice here. And I can see there's the same thing's going to be true about LinkedIn. The same thing's going to be true about any of these, right? That you need to show up every day. You need to interact with people. I'm right there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So what do you do that's unique in Instagram?
Well, what you can do on Instagram that'll help you stand out is using hashtags. That's a place where you can do lots of hashtags. What people do on Instagram, the way they use it is they either, go and do a search and type in, some of their favorite celebrities or people in business they admire and respect. How else do they find you, right? Like, okay, I'm just a Twitter person. Nobody really knows me on Instagram. How are they going to find me? Well, you do this through hashtags. So I'll do a post. I like to do motivational posts on Instagram. So I'll do some kind of motivational quote. I'm going to put a bunch of hashtags. You can have up to 30. And so I'm going to do relevant. They need to be relevant hashtags. So a relevant hashtag with motivational quotes would be, okay, these will be hashtags, quotes, inspiration, Instagood, success, goals, motivation. I'm just reading some from one of my most recent Instagram posts. People are searching for those words. So when they're searching for those words, they may find your post through that. So that's a great way to get discovered and seen. So what I find through, back going to experimenting and trying things, and I do want to say what works for me may not work for you and vice versa. That's why experimenting is important. But through my experimentation, what I find is that following this process and using a lot of hashtags, about half of the people that are liking and commenting on my Instagram posts are people I know. And the other half are people I do not know. So that tells me that doing those hashtags is working. People are searching hashtags and finding me, and through that process, liking and commenting and following me on Instagram.
So do you then strike up conversations with the people who like it to generate leads?
Absolutely. Now, Instagram is full of people who are trying to game the system. So they'll go on there and go and like and comment on everybody in hopes that you'll go follow them. And so I will spend a little time like trying to get to know this person, like go not just because they liked my post, go and follow them, but actually try to learn more about them to see like, are they worthy of me following them? Are they worthy of me striking up a conversation? Do we have some kind of synergy together? Are we doing the same type of work or something where they could help me, I could help them? But you get lots of people where like it'll be something that is so non-relevant to the work I do, yet they're trying to have a conversation, but they're just trying to beef up their followers. So that's the only thing I don't like about Instagram. There's a lot of that going on. So you have to spend time kind of wading through all that to find the best people. And they're out there. Like you can really connect with really great people on there.
Interesting. How about LinkedIn? How do you approach LinkedIn?
Yeah, so with LinkedIn, what I find that works really well there is taking your blog posts and reposting them there. And this is a strategy that's been around for quite a while. People talk about this pretty regularly, but it really does work. You don't post it at the same time as your blog because Google doesn't like that. Some people try to game the whole SEO system by doing that. And what you want to do, the strategy is when you have a really good blog post, really good information, wait about a week, and then go over to your LinkedIn and post it in there as an article. And that can help you get more attention to your profile. And I've been doing this quite regularly for quite some time.
This is good for me. You post it first on your website, and then I do one of those. What do they call those? Pulse, like a pulse, a LinkedIn pulse.
Yes. Oh. Yes. Yeah, where you put in one of your articles. They used to call it Pulse. I'm not sure if they still call it that.
I think they bought it up, but it's the same idea, right?
It's just articles now. I think they just call it articles. But yeah, you post your article, and what's great about this is it lives on your profile. So if you go to my profile, you're going to see all of my articles through there. And the beauty of having your article there is that just like if you were posting it on any other social media platform, people can like it, they can comment, they can do all that, which will help get you more attention. Just like with anything, if I get a bunch of likes, well, the algorithm kicks in and now it starts to snowball and more people will see it. So that is a great way to get more attention.
One last one I want to ask about. How can we use Snapchat? I'm on it a lot, actually, because my kids are on it. Is there any way? Is there any way to leverage that for business? For the life of me, I can't figure it out.
You definitely can. Is anybody really still using Snapchat? The kids are. Family members are, because their kids are on there. I mean, we've even got grandparents that are using it just so they can see their grandkids on there. But in my experience, I decided in 2017 I was not going to spend any more time in Snapchat because what we do on Snapchat is identical to Instagram stories. And I predicted this last year. Last year, Instagram stories came about and we're all looking at this like, okay, why should we use Snapchat when we can do the same thing and we already have an audience? Like we've all been building up our Instagram for years. So here we all start at zero. So you start your Instagram at zero. You're slow, because I was doing these daily posts on Snapchat where I was sharing lots of Twitter tips and advice. And it was slow going because, it's another platform and people need to discover you and you got to let people know you're on there. And then Instagram stories starts and it's like, well, wait a minute, I can do the same. So for a while I was actually duplicating. I would do the videos over the little 10-second videos on Snapchat. They save on your phone. I have an iPhone, so they save to your camera roll. I would take that video and go post it as an Instagram story, which you can do. You could do it either way. You could start at Instagram.
But I could be doing this on Facebook too, right? I could put a video on Facebook.
Absolutely. So the strategy is whichever one you are using, you do it there. Make sure the video saves to your camera. Take that video and in 2 seconds go post it on the other two platforms for their stories. And you've now covered everything. Now, some people say, no, don't do that because you're just taking your same content and putting it everywhere and people are going to see the same thing over and over. Well, in my experience, people that are on Snapchat are not necessarily watching Instagram stories, and they're certainly not watching Facebook stories. Facebook stories is mostly marketers. Us marketers are on there. And I stopped using it because until it becomes mainstream, why should I spend my wheels on there when nobody's really paying attention? Nobody seems to care for it all that much except the marketers. So Instagram stories seems to be the one that has won this for now. They seem to have won the stories game. So I prefer to use that. But it also goes back to where are your customers? Where's your audience? Where are you going to find them? If they're younger and they're on Snapchat and you experiment and you see that you get more engagement over there, then stick with it. I found in my experience, Snapchat was just not worth my time. So I stopped. And Instagram stories fares better for me.
Madalyn, how can people find you online? You've got
best places.
You've got a podcast, right?
I have a podcast. I actually have two podcasts. I have the Twitter Smarter podcast. It's all about sharing Twitter tips and advice. I bring on top social media marketers and I ask them, what are your best Twitter tips? So you can get to that through my website at MadalynSklar.com. I also have a brand new podcast called Communities That Convert. And it's all about sharing my long history of community building, and that's at communitiesthatconvert.com. And best place to reach me is Twitter because I love Twitter. It is a great platform at Madalyn Sklar. But really, with my unusual name, you will find me everywhere by putting Madalyn Sklar.
I love your name, by the way.
Thank you.
It is unique. It's a unique spelling. Madalyn, and then Sklar is Sklar. It's terrific. Terrific.
Thanks, Pat.
It's branding heaven.
It really is. As a kid growing up in an unusual name, I hated it. I was like, why do I have such an unusual name? But as an adult, and especially as an entrepreneur in social media, it's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever because I automatically stand out having an unusual name.
Interesting. Is there anything you want to give away?
I tell you what, I have a free online training course. I call it my Twitter secret sauce, those bullet points I was sharing before. I actually put together a free mini class that literally takes you 30 minutes to go through. It's really fast, but I walk you through with some articles and some very short videos explaining each of those things I talked about. So if you go to MadalynSklar.com/secret sauce, one word, secret sauce, that'll get you to it. And I would love for everybody to do that and then get back to me, tweet me, and let me know what you thought of it.
Terrific. Terrific. Hey, Madalyn, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for visiting us here on Sales Babble.
Thanks, Pat.
I think the big takeaway there is it all kind of depends upon where your ideal client hangs out. From best I can tell, all the Sales Babble listeners sell to different kinds of people. No one place would work for all of them. But if you think there's a possibility your clients might be hanging out in social media, go there and find out. Of course, the best way to know is to actually ask them. Talk to some of your existing customers. Ask them, what social media places do they hang out for a beer and a chat and a cup of coffee? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Find out where they're hanging out because that's where you would want to go. Like I always say, if you're going to go trout fishing, you go to a trout stream. You don't go to the ocean. To connect with Madalyn Sklar and to get her free Twitter secret sauce and listen to her podcasts, go to the show notes at www.salesbabble.com/199. That's right, 199. What does that mean for next week? It's going to be episode 200. Wow. Can you believe that? I have been doing this for 200 episodes. And we're going to be doing something special. Next week, I'm going to be doing a solo episode and talking all about cold calling. We're going to be doing some practice role play with the cold calling script, and we're going to break it down step by step. The whole idea is you might be able to take some ideas from that and apply it to your cold calling. Got a question, got a comment? Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are easy to find at salesbabble.com. Click on the link Babble Me. Until next week, take care and have a highly successful selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.